Hello, greetings, my friends. Thanks for visiting my YouTube channel. Today, we'll start discussing the most important element of the PELETE way. That is, the step number 4, which is the express, or how to talk or speak seriously and effectively, what we need to consider first before we open our mouth. So let's pick up where we left off from last session. In step 3, we said the disgruntled workers or party B speaking to party A, his manager, about the grievances, which is represented by the blue half moon. The manager, before speaking to party B, has done his homework and has some degree of understanding of the situation, and he comes to help party B. The manager came prepared with his ideas or options, which is indicated graphically by the yellow oval. The two people stay connected as the worker continues to talk and the manager listens attentively. Gradually, as if empathize with the worker, the manager's prepared ideas or options start to change. Having heard the workers' grievances, the manager agreed with the workers' viewpoints and thus slightly modified his previously prepared ideas or options and formed the new options or ideas, the red-bordered yellow oval. At this point, the manager is ready to express his opinions about the grievances and the workers willing to listen. So what does it mean to express? PELETE way. Step 4, express. To speak your mind or express your opinions about something. For example, when people feel infuriated or in distress, for some, they simply fly off the handle, shooting off their mouth without any consideration for the consequences. For others, they are able to control their temper, measure every word, every thought, and speak with discretions. So for the PELETE way, to express means to express your thought-out ideas, options, observations to people for a purpose. And that purpose could be as simple as just a casual, relaxing conversation in a party, or to vent your angers, or to reach a mutual agreement of sort with someone for a business deal, or for a resolution to some dispute. How do we do that? There are 3 steps to follow in order to express in the PELETE way. First, think and reason. There are a few things that people need to think about first, and then reason with yourself what makes the most sense before forming your thoughts. Step 2. Compose your thoughts with skill. Put your thoughts into words following the SPERS rules. Step 3. Speak or write with discretions. So let's dig a little deeper into each step. Think and reason. Thinking and reasoning are always the hardest part in everything we do. We often do things that first come to our mind and later regret. Sometimes the damages are irreversible, can't be repaired. So, to prevent this recklessness from happening and minimize the damages, here is the list of things to consider before you open your mouth. First one up, the relevant thoughts and words. What could they be? Well, number 1, you need to think about your goals, your interest, your primary objectives when you say something to a person. What are you trying to achieve? What are you looking for from the person or persons when you say those words? What are the reason I'm here talking to you today, and so on. You need to think about your true feelings. You feel happy, sad, hurt, disappointed, excited, you want to express your true feelings. Then you need to think about your viewpoint, your opinions about a certain issue. You need to think hard about it. Think about your behavior, actions. Is it because of your past behaviors or actions that people dislike you or ignore you? You need to self-reflect things of that nature. Or is it because something you said in the past that has offended them? Is it me that's causing all the trouble? Or is it my body language that makes me or makes people feel uncomfortable? Or should I speak softly with fewer words, or raise my voice even more when I speak in a staff meeting? All of these things, whether happened in the past or about to happen, need to be thought out first before you speak up. These are your thoughts and words. Next, you need to think about the consequences and the impacts of your thoughts and words. Don't act or react impulsively. Don't just jump into it with your both feet without thinking about the consequences of your actions. What are the possible consequences and impacts when you say or carry out those thoughts of yours? 1. The substance. What are the financial gains? What could be the non-monetary rewards or benefits if I did this or that? Next, you need to think about the relationship. If I speak up against the proposal or go through with my plan, will my words or actions hurt my friendship with my old friends? Or will it improve my relationship with the corporate buyers? What about my words and actions? How will they affect my image and reputation in the eyes of my neighbors? Will my new housing development project hurt the environment in the eyes of my neighbors? Am I totally blinded by the dollar signs? These are the consequences that you need to consider. Next, weigh and balance. Here you need to weigh those thoughts and words and their associated consequences and balance against reality. You may have some lofty thoughts and ideas you wish to accomplish, but in reality, they are not to be. You may be handicapped financially, or your engineers simply don't have the technical skill to perform the job. You also need to weigh and balance with discretions. You need to consider, first, what is important to you, or what matters most at the moment. There's a difference. For example, if you are trekking through the desert and run out of clean water to drink, do you drink from a pool of foul water and get sick for a week? Or do you rather die of thirsty and refuse to take that risk? Your health is important to you, no doubt, but the question is, what matters most at the moment? We run into situations like that all the time in our life. We need to make that decision. We need to use our discretions wisely. And I'm not here to advise you what to do. It's your decision to make, and yours only. Consolidate and finalize. All things considered. With all the different ideas, options, and their consequences, all things considered, you need to make a decision and narrow it down to your action plans, things you decide to say or carry out. But this is still not good enough. You also need to prepare a backup plan or a contingency plan in case your action plans fail. Something you can always fall back on if things didn't go to plan. This is quite crucial when you are in the process of negotiation. So these are the things you need to do in step 1, think and reason. People need to do some critical thinking. Next, step 2, the compose with skill. Follow the SPERS rules, turning your thoughts into powerful words and expressions. The SPERS rules will guide you in composing your responses more effectively. You need to compose your responses that are short, precise, easy, relevant, and last but not least, sound attitude. Let me elaborate each in more detail. A. Your words or statements need to be short without being curt. Your words need to be fluff-free. Why? Because your messages tend to get lost if it contains too many words. Number 2, windy talks turn people out. Can you think of any politician who talks incessantly, keeps gabbing for hours, and the audience just dozes off? Or like the U.S. President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, about 275 words and delivered in less than 2 minutes, and his messages still resonates with people today. 3. Beware of being rudely brief in utterance or abrupt in manners. If your messages is too brief and abrupt, people may think that you are rude. Next, precise without being cold. Why? Well, it's more efficient, getting things done quicker. If you're not precise, number 2, you get what you ask, but not what you want. And I'll explain those later when we illustrate some sentence examples. Number 3, leave as little as possible for assumptions and interpretation. But there are people in power who tend to leave their messages vague, so they can swing either way to put the blame on people if something goes wrong. We'll pick up on that subject later. Number 4, messages too precise may seem cold and mechanical, like strict company regulations or city ordinance. When you read the articles, it feels cold and inconsiderate. Next, your words and expressions must be easy to understand in real time when you're addressing to people. Don't use big words that only a few people can understand. In other words, be vernacular, plain, everyday language. However, if you dump down your messages, you may insult certain people. Relevant without being too trivial. As we mentioned before, serious communication starts with common relevance. So, your messages must relate to matters of common interest, concern. And oftentimes we heard people saying, I have no idea what you're talking about, making communication hard to continue. Number 3, relegate all other non-essential relevance to the background. People don't want to get bothered with trivial things. As I said, last but not least, the sound attitude. I strongly believe that a person's attitude dictates how well the communication can be carried out. And here for the PELETE way, we certainly advocate that sound attitude is everything. So how can we have a sound attitude? Here's how. First, be positive, open-minded. Open to new ideas. Don't reject them outright. Try it, experience it. Then don't judge or blame people. Human nature tends to do that for self-protection. It's ingrained in our DNA for survival. Embrace the difference if you can. And then be tolerant with others. For example, verbal attack equals constructive criticism. By that I mean, think of people's verbal attack as a constructive criticism because they never learned how to communicate the way we do, the PELETE way, culturally and religiously. Let me quote an Irish wise man in the 17th century to make the point. The man is Jonathan Swift. He wrote that we have just enough of religion to hate one another, but not enough to love one another. What a profound thought for ecumenical harmony. And I think the same argument can be applied to the different cultures and customs. We learn to understand people, but if we empathize, we learn even more. Be respectful with dignity, without being submissive in words and in body language. Always show your respect when you speak to people. A little respect can go a long way. In reality, some people show their respect to extremes, as enjoyed by others. This is not the kind of attitude we're promoting. Be truthful to yourself without being hurtful, nasty. Don't pretend or lie. Time will tell. Say what you mean from your heart. As Jack Nicholson said in the movie, "You Can't Handle the Truth." Well, he must have been very nasty when he said that. I guess sometimes truth hurts, but there's always a way to soften the blow, and people can find it in their hearts. Number 4, be serious without being solemn. If you speak in a solemn way, you may unsettle people, put them in a very uneasy way. Mean what you say. Be serious about things. Don't joke about your intentions. Control your emotions. If you lose your temper, it may cloud your judgment. Be prepared to back up what you say when you are challenged. Be assertive, but use with caution. Your assertiveness may be viewed as a threat. So at this point, you need to have a sound attitude to begin with, then compose your thought-out ideas or options following the suggested SPERS rules. Then, step 3, speak or write with discretion to stay connected. Don't put people off. First of all, mind the tones of your voices and the body language you project. Use your discretion or wisdom wisely. Avoid extremes of the SPERS rules. Choose the middle way. Use your wisdom to find that sweet spot when you speak. Learn from the experience. Let your experience guide you to find that sweet spot. So let's review what we have covered so far about being extreme using the SPERS rules. Short without being curt, precise without being cold, easy without being insulting, relevant without being trivial, be truthful without hurtful, be serious without being solemn, and be respectful without being submissive. Now we come to the point where I'll demonstrate some sentence examples to help you understand the SPERS rules better. If you recalled in my opening remarks, I said it's a time-consuming process to learn to communicate effectively. And this is where and what I meant, to learn to compose the thought-out comments or responses as demonstrated in the following examples. And these scant examples aren't even scratching the surface. So here we go. Long-winded rambling. On Sunday, we'll have our company party. Monday is statutory holiday. Tuesday will be hectic for everyone since people will have tons of work to catch up. Wednesday is a good for a staff meeting. Thursday may not work for me, etc. Versus short and curt. Meeting. Wednesday. Or, short without being curt, let's have a staff meeting on Wednesday. This is better. Next, precise. Let's have a staff meeting versus let's have a staff meeting with all project managers at 2 p.m. this Wednesday. So you're being very precise. Another example will be you want to get something done. If you said, is it done yet? And this is probably going to happen because you're not very precise about the timing. So this is what you're going to get. It's done just now, but this is what you want. It's done yesterday. Or have you paid the hydro bill yet? You're being very specific right now. Hydro bill. Or have you called the family doctor yet? These are very precise, very specific versus is it done yet? Next, respectful. This is about people speeding and got caught. Officer, your radar speed gun is not accurate. I didn't speed. I never speed. Versus, officer, I must have missed the speed limit sign when I negotiated my right turn and so on. So this actually happened to me and I was being very respectful. And of course, that officer let me go, let me off the hook. So a little respect really goes a long way. Next is weighed and balanced. Use your discretions. What's important to you? What matters most at the moment? Here's a story of someone being accused of cheating on a math test. Sir, I did not cheat. You have insulted me in front of everybody. Versus, sir, I'm so embarrassed by my careless action. I'd accidentally left a note on my desk, and so on. So you have to make decision which is more important, which matters most at the moment. Your honor and keep fighting and get kicked out of school, or you be a little flexible, get you out of the jam first, and fight another day. This actually happened to someone that I know very well. Be serious, mean what you say. Clerk. If you don't stop harassing me, I'll report you to the authorities. Police. Stop, put your hands up or I'll shoot. Bank. Payments due by Friday. 25% interest rate applies. So you better believe the police will shoot or the bank will charge you interest if you don't pay on time. The next few slides are about people's attitude. Minding your attitude is very important, and I'm going to show you a few examples to demonstrate how disrespectful or sarcastic the people can be when they're saying things like, stop it, when you try to stop people from teasing you, or shut up, quiet, when you try to silence someone from talking, or calm down, when you try to comfort emotionally disturbed people. Do you think those words will work? Maybe, maybe not. But it will stand a good chance if you say words like, may I help you? What's happened? Are you hurt? Sounds a lot better. Next, if you try to praise someone for his good performance and you say things like, nice job, who helped you? You're not praising people, you're just being very sarcastic. Try this. Nice job, could you teach me? Or, wow, expertly done. Sounds a lot better, doesn't it? More examples. This is about the price and the quality of the product. Your price is cheap, so it's quality. This is very disrespectful, even though it might be true, but there are other better ways to say the same thing, such as, your price is inexpensive given the quality. Sounds a lot better. Because of the words you have chosen, it's much less offensive. Or you might say, your products are priced competitively for its value. It's better. And I'm sure there are other ways just as good to say it. Next, say what you mean from your heart. If you say, I think you don't care for me, probably this is not what you really mean. In your heart, you probably mean, for example, I feel ignored. I feel non-existent. If you say, I feel you are mean, I feel you are selfish, I hate you, you probably mean, I feel hurt, I feel attacked, I feel mistreated. Or you can say, I'd appreciate your time and effort to work this out. Let me explain again. Or, I valued our relationship as do you, so it must be a misunderstanding. Notice the underlined words, you. You must exercise caution when you use the word you. We'll pick up on the subject again on our next presentation. Next, the Rashomon effect. The word Rashomon came from the name of an internationally acclaimed Japanese crime movie released in 1950. It's about 4 people recounting different but equally plausible versions of the same story of a man's murder and the rape of his wife. So, the Rashomon effect is the result of the subjectivity of perception on an observer's memory, producing substantially different but equally plausible accounts of the same event. For example, if you say, I didn't lie, what I told you is nothing but the facts. I was there, I saw it with my own eyes. In fact, the story you told is only your judgment on the reality, your version of the reality. It may not be the true reality. So, for our purposes, we can say the following with confidence. Please keep in mind, there are 3 sides to every story. My side, your side, and the independent third parties. And every story can be told in 2 ways, dictated by your attitude. Ask yourself how sound your attitude can be. Every story can be told in a positive way or in a negative way. Thus, for every story, there are at least 6 versions, and there is only one true reality for the fact. With this, we can summarize what we have covered so far about express. So, let's put everything we talked about for the step expressed into a matrix table. Here it is. On the upper left-hand corner, we wrote down the items like the brainstorm, thoughts, the options, and solutions. And underneath that, we put down each of the key points and the sub-points that we have covered so far for the SPERS rules. And at the very top row, we have consequences such as substance, relationships, images, and so on, plus the 6 versions of a story, which can be told in theory. This gives us the complete matrix table for express. Next, we'll demonstrate how to use this matrix table to brainstorm, to generate ideas, options, evaluate in a systematic way. Let's focus on a very small portion of this table, relevant thoughts and words, and expand this table into this. So under relevant thoughts and words, we have A, goal, interest, B, feelings, C, viewpoints, D, behaviors, E, past words and expressions, F, body language. And then for each item, people can brainstorm ideas and options. Take the first one, for example, our goal and interest. What would be our goal and interest if we say this or do that? We can ask participants to brainstorm, or we can do it on our own. And we may even come up with our number 1 goal is to win the contract. Number 2, ask John to join our team. Number 3, to have a 0 accident workplace. Number 4, to get the promotion. And then we can review each item of ideas with respect to its positive or negative angles, and fill in the blanks accordingly. In our example, Ken's view is happy to win the contract. He's expecting a big raise from the company, but the other side of the coin is he will face even greater pressure to get more for the company and less time for the family. While his opponent thinks the credit should be his instead and starts calling Ken names, shameless backstabbers, the independent third party may think positively that Ken is great, or negatively, Ken was lucky this time and doubtful he can do it again on his own next time. This analysis may seem complex, but in reality, people can narrow down the scope of the analysis to limited few items and focus more on key relevant matters like this. This simplified matrix table, which we introduced in our previous presentations. What we've introduced here is more of a concept than a fixed table format. There can be a few versions of the matrix table designed to suit your needs. You can even quantify each idea or put a weight or assign a number to each idea, options, and so on, to help you narrow down your options. There are at least 3 important applications of the matrix table analysis. 1. Assessment on relevant thoughts. 2. Problem solving and analysis. 3. Analytical critical thinking. And brainstorming as a group certainly would help. Here we emphasize point number 1 to help you compose the power words in your communication efforts. Now let's summarize graphically the PELETE way. Step 4, express. We start with where we left off in step 3, with the formation of Party A's new options and thoughts after hearing what Party B has said about his grievances. Party A listens to Party B attentively and as a result, revise his options, ideas to help Party B. Now, if parties A and B continues to talk and listen to each other, and during the process, Party A proposes his ideas, options, i.e. the yellow oval, to Party B, hoping that Party B would accept the offer and come to an agreement to resolve the matter. If the Party B accepts the offer, the 2 circles overlap to form a common relevance or an agreement. If parties A and B cannot come to a total agreement or only partially agree with each other as shown in the graph, then more effort will be needed to resolve the stalemate, which will be dealt with in the next step in the PELETE way. That's it for this session of discussion. In part 2, we'll discuss the few useful tips for composing your power words and expression. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's keep on practicing effective communication. This is Peter Chang. See you next time.